Hey, good morning everyone. Hope your day is starting off good. So I'm actually heading to work. I figured you'd go with me for a little ride. Last night, when I went to go leave work, I had rolled all my windows down because, it gets too darn hot if it just sits. This is my 05 Ram 1500. It's a quad cab. And when I went to go leave, I went to go roll the windows up. I had nothing. I couldn't roll the windows up. So from the master switch, my mirrors worked and my power door locks worked. I couldn't get the windows to work. I was like, did the harness break in the doors? I had the door open, I had the thing running. I was messing with the harness, trying to get it to work, nothing. So I drove home with windows down. And, no big deal. It was a warm day. But just, I couldn't, I usually call my mom every day. And I couldn't do that on the way home because the wind noise was just too much. So, but anyway, when I got home last night, I undid the switch here. And I unplugged it and then plugged it back in. And then everything started working. So the switch itself is no good. So, it looks to be an original switch since it's worn out. But I have a new switch on its way already. I ordered it last night through Amazon. So I should have it here. Actually, it should be here later today because it was like in a local warehouse. So, all right. Let's get going. Let me set you up in the holder and we'll have a little talk. So I actually made this video on my way to work this morning. And when I was taking a break, I was going through it, and I realized it didn't come out right. So, try it again. I had an eye doctor appointment, getting new glasses. I had the appointment way back when, got new glasses, and I couldn't make them work out right for me, so they had to exchange them. Anyway, so I wanted to go over a couple of cars that I had, and one car in particular that I actually forgot that I owned, because I only owned it for a short period of time. It was a 73 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, white, with a black leather interior. Yeah, imagine that, me in a Cadillac Coupe de Ville. I got it for free because I had a blown head gasket. I was 18 at the time. And I got it, I fixed it, put it all together, and I was driving it. And the car would do incredible burnouts because the Cadillac, I'm pretty sure it was the 472 and not the 500. You Cadillac guys probably know more than I do when it comes to that stuff. I just don't remember. They were torque monsters. They would light up the rear tires, and this thing was a one-legger, so man, it would spin that. Once you broke it free and away to the car, it would just light that right rear tire up. So one day, I come to a traffic light, and somebody pulled up next to me, like to race or something like that, because I was an idiot, and I would always pop it into neutral and rev it up and whatnot. And, as if I was going to race whoever was next to me, like I would even have a chance of beating them with this thing. So, came up to a traffic light. I did that to the person next to me. I don't remember what it was. And so they inched forward like they were going to go at the light. So I pulled the shifter back down and I had put it into low 1, not even thinking. So the light turns green and I slowly accelerated because otherwise it would just light the tire up. And once I got 10 feet out, if you floored it from that point, it was fine. So I floored it, not realizing I had left it in low 1. And the thing goes, what? It just revs out. And what did that thing rev to? 4,900, 5,000 RPM? So it revs up to that, and I'm like, why is this thing not shifting? And I'm like, oh shoot. And I grabbed the shifter, and as soon as I moved it up to shift it into the next gear, as soon as it shifted, the motor let go. It exploded. All I heard was, and that was the end of that. And basically, I coasted off the side of the road, and there was a trail of oil and antifreeze and smoke and everything else leading up to where I was. There were connecting rods sticking out the oil pan. There was connecting rods through the side of the block. It blew the whole side of the block open. What a mess that was. Now, I had gotten the car for free. It was actually in nice shape. I was actually upset because the car was in nice shape. And I wound up putting an ad in the Penny Saver. And back then, you didn't have Craigslist or anything like that. Obviously, you didn't have internet or anything. You had newspapers and you had Penny Saver. So I put an ad in the Penny Saver for the car, and I sold it. And basically, I was able to sell it to a guy who really, like I said, the car's in nice shape, who really wanted a Coupe de Ville. So he bought the thing, and I wound up basically getting my money back for what I paid in parts. I don't know, what did I spend at the time? $300 bucks, I think maybe that's what I got for the car. So it whatever. I lost my labor and stuff like that. I didn't have money to put a motor in it. Just no way. So anyway, at another point in time, I was driving around one of the neighborhoods, and I happened to drive by somebody's driveway, and I looked and I saw this yellow car, and I was like, whoa, I stopped and I backed up and I looked, and it was a 73 AMC Javelin AMX. So I was like, all right. So I went up, and I could tell the car had been sitting there a while. So I went up to the house, knocked on the door, and this older guy comes out. So him and I start talking, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I was just going to junk it. He goes, give me $100 for it, or something. It was something along those lines. Give me $50, whatever it was. So I looked at the car, and it did run. He had the dashboard out of it, like the whole assembly, but the car still ran. Like he had, on those, you had to do something. Those in Dodges, you had to do something with the amp meter, if I'm not mistaken. It was on the dash to actually make it so the car would run afterwards. I forgot what it was, but anyway, he had hooked it up. Everything would run, but man, the car was a mess. The car was an absolute mess. It was junk. So I bought the car from him, and I drove it for a little while, and it was a 304 3-speed. And oops, sorry about that. And those of you that know 3-speeds, it's an H-pattern shifter where what would normally be first gear is reverse. What would normally be second gear on a 4-speed is first, and so on. So I'm going down this highway, and I'm not thinking. Most of my cars at that time had been 4-speeds. Most everything I owned had been 4-speeds, except maybe that Cadillac and maybe something else. I don't even remember. So used to driving a stick shift. I'm going down, I'm in third gear, and I'm not thinking. And I'm coming up on this exit, and I'm flying. So I'm like, all right, so I was going to downshift it into second gear. Not thinking. Because I started decelerating hard. So I grabbed the shifter, hit the clutch, up, over, and rammed it down. And I remember it going crunch as it went in, and at the same point I let go of the clutch, and I was just like, wait a minute, this is a 3, and I was into that. All of a sudden I hear tires revving and whoop, 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 because the rear end started hopping. The car spun completely around. Now it's in the middle of the road facing traffic head on. And I was like, and of course it stalled. So I go ahead, I was able to get it restarted. I get it restarted, I jam it in reverse because I'm in the road, but I'm partially into the exit ramp. So now, what do? I jam it in reverse, and I just dump the clutch, and I start backwards. Like, you ever see Bullet when he backs up on the Mustang and the rear wheel's hopping like crazy? That's what the AMX did. So I backed up. I wound up backing up the exit ramp, and then I was able to turn around and go. Man, that was some good times. That I remember somebody had said to me at where I worked, this one guy, he would come in, he's like, is that your car? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it was junk. It was really junk. It had bias ply tires on it, like wide 70 ovals or wide 60, whatever the heck they were called. Anyway, this guy says, is that your car? I said, yeah. And I was dating this girl at the time, you know, and like I said, I was like 18 years old. And he actually read me the riot act over taking the girl out in that death trap. Yeah, he was actually mad at me for, and it's not like he was a family member of the girl, but he was just actually mad at me for taking her out in that death trap. He was afraid that, you know, the thing was going to fall apart while I drove it. Kind of did. But yeah, so that car didn't last too long. It really was just a load of junk. I should have saved the hood though, if I remember correctly, because it had like the bulged up hood, almost like a cowl induction type hood. And it was factory, but I think the hood was fiberglass on that car, but I can't remember. It was kind of a neat looking car. But anyway, I just thought I'd share those couple of stories with you. I thought they were neat. So anyway, I am getting ready to go back into work. So that's it. If you guys are getting anything out of my stories, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.